This was a question that we put up on our social media pages last night, and it was specifically geared towards Jackson Countians. I said I would read the best answer at 7:05 this morning here on KCMO 95.7 FM. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. The question was as follows. It was specific to Jackson County residents, and you can still text or call on this topic at 913-408-7957. I threw this out there. Jackson Countians, with Kansas making a move on the Chiefs, do you regret voting no on the 3/8 sales tax back in April 2nd? And the best answer here came from Donna. We got a lot of your feedback and responses, most of you saying no, but of course I wanted a why. Donna wrote here last night on the KCMO Talk Radio Facebook page, quote, "This whole stadium tax vote was designed for minimum voter participation, had minimum transparency, and did not sell me on the need to move the Royals downtown. And it failed to even have any notion of where the balance of the project money was going to come from. State? City? More shell games?" The Chiefs sat back and let the Royals take the lead. Their Hail Mary proposal was thrown together at the last minute. I'm tired of taxes continuing to go up while quality of services declines. And the usual grifters get their pockets filled on our dime. I get we are already paying the 3/8 sales tax now, but enough is enough. I'm not inclined to give them a 40-year blank check of my money. Let the Kansans empty their pockets. That is the best answer we got on Facebook yesterday, where I asked Jackson Countians, do you regret voting no on April 2nd now that Kansas is making a very serious play for the Kansas City Chiefs and potentially the Royals as well? And that response from Donna is exactly why so many are getting it wrong right now. I'm seeing a lot of this on social media. As Kansas begins its special session today, and it looks like they'll put together some star bond proposal to try to lure the teams across the state line. So many are saying, whether it's on, the dopey sports radio shows or on social media, well, all you guys had to do was vote yes, and you would have kept the teams there. First off, we are a long ways away from the finish line on this. If you think that Kansas passes a star bond initiative package this week and the Chiefs are announcing their plans to go to the Legends by, July 4th or Labor Day or anytime in the next few months, you're kidding yourself. What will happen is it will pass, and then probably what will take place after that, I believe, is there will be a move on the Missouri side to get through the election and then work with the state and the county and the city to figure out how Missouri can keep these teams. It might take a few months, but guess what? Maybe the Royals don't feel this way, but the Chiefs should feel this way. Time is on their side. The lease at the Truman Sports Complex is still in effect until 2031. Let's not forget that. I know you have to move eventually if you're going to build the new stadium somewhere, but the notion that you need 6 years to build a stadium, I mean, we're not talking about adding and bureaucrats building highways, okay? I mean, we're talking about private industry building something. They can build this thing in a couple of years. But the notion that this team is long gone, they're heading to Kansas, there's nothing anyone can do about it, that's just not true. It's not. Missouri's going to have a final say in some capacity, at least for the Chiefs. I don't know about the Royals. The Royals are at this point looking to be loved by somebody. I mean, they're the ones who are right now on Tinder just swiping left, or is it swiping right? I don't know. I've never been on Tinder. Whichever way you swipe to, accept somebody or vote yes, it's nothing I've ever had to do, thank goodness. But whichever way that is, that's the way the Royals are swiping. And they're just, the Royals are like a solid 7 swiping on 2s at this point. They don't care. They're just trying to get some. So with that being said, you now sit back and you say, okay, what is the realistic play? Are these teams really gone from Jackson County? No, they're not. Kansas is going to make a move. We all understand what Kansas is doing. But do I think that these teams are gone come the end of the week, July 4th, anytime this year? No, I don't. And I think it's wildly unfair. I saw this yesterday. An attorney representing the Chiefs was speaking to the Kansas legislature. And the quote here, and I want to make sure I have it completely right. And let me make sure I can credit who this person is. This would be Corb Maxwell, an attorney representing the Chiefs. He said here to the Kansas legislature, I'm reading this from the Kansas Reflector, the time is now. Time is of the essence. Missouri spoke. Jackson County spoke. They had their opportunity. But now there's a moment for Kansas to step up. And I'm sure the Kansas lawmakers are licking their chops. Yeah, man, now's our time to step up. This is our chance. This is our opportunity. First off, that's disingenuous. Jackson County did speak. And the message had nothing to do with the Kansas City Chiefs. The message from Jackson Countyans was more about their displeasure with their local county government at large, and was also in large part their displeasure, I believe, on how the Royals handled their end of the negotiation. And it was also disenfranchisement with the city of Kansas City, Missouri. It's not as black and white as these attorneys like Corb Maxwell want to make it into. Listen, he's doing his job. He's trying to get the Kansas legislature all high on the hog. They want to get them big-eyed and excited about the possibility of having the Super Bowl champs in their state. That's his job. He's selling them on it. He's doing his job. But that's not telling the narrative. That's not telling history correctly about what happened in this town, in this county on April 2nd. What happened in this county is that everybody had a reason to despise the vote and vote no. And that's why it went down in flames by the better part of 20 points. Jackson Countyans did not say no to Patrick Mahomes. They didn't say no to Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. They said no because of a buildup of bad decisions by bureaucrats and then also by the private sector over the better part of 6 to 12 months. And as much as anything else, it was a protest vote. But the idea that they said no to the Chiefs, come on. Anybody who covered this, anybody who's been on the ground, for the better part of the last several weeks and months, who's followed this story, knows that this was not, Clark Hunt can't take this personally. Mark Donovan shouldn't take this personally. It was not an indictment on them or their team or the success that the team has had as of late. It's more complex than that. And if you talk to an average Jackson Countyan, you'll understand that. If you listen to this show and the calls that we've gotten and the texts and the social media posts over the last 2.5, 3 months, you'll understand that. To go to Topeka and say, Jackson County had their chance, they told us no. No. And that's why Jackson County is now exploring the possibility of having a 3/16 sales tax on the ballot exclusively for the Chiefs in November. Because that would be their half of the 3/8 cent sales tax from April 2nd. And as I said since the day the vote came down, if these two teams were on separate ballot questions, the Chiefs would have passed overwhelmingly. Probably by 20 points. And the Royals might have bombed out by 40. Who knows? We don't know how many people voted yes just because of the Chiefs, even if they were disenfranchised by the Royals side of the equation. I don't know. There's no way to have that information. Nobody has it. But I guarantee you those people were out there. 913-408-7957. That's the text line. That's the studio line here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. A lot of you on the text line are saying, amen, Donna. Good job, Donna. Well, you know what? She got the Facebook post of the day after I threw up that question last night on the KCMO Talk Radio Facebook page. You should sign up, like us there on KCMO Talk Radio on our Facebook, our X, and yes, our Instagram as well. Nice analysis there by O'Reilly. We'll try to get him on the show the day after the debate, which is Thursday, June 27th. See if we can get him on the show on Friday morning for a little reaction and recap. 9 days away. Can't believe it. So Quentin Lucas just chiming in on the quote I was just talking about here on KCMO. I just shared the quote from one of the Chiefs' attorneys, Corb Maxwell, who was in Topeka yesterday and said to the Kansas legislature, Missouri spoke, Jackson County spoke. They had their opportunity to keep the teams, but now there's a moment for Kansas to step up. Just talked, so I don't know if Mayor Q's listening. at 7:23 on a Tuesday morning. But he just shared on his social media, with respect to any advocate seeking leverage for their client, the state of Missouri has not spoken. The city of Kansas City has not spoken. Both have invested millions in the team's success, and both continue their work to ensure a strong future for both teams in Kansas City. He's right. State of Missouri didn't speak. Kansas City, Missouri didn't speak. Jackson County spoke. And by the way, they spoke in regards to two teams and two proposals that were lumped into one. You know, if the Chiefs should be pissed at anybody, it's not the voter. They should be pissed about the fact that they were on the ballot with the Royals when, frankly, the two teams were doing very different things. It made sense to have these teams on the same ballot and the same question when they were going to be playing together and basically being neighbors at the Truman Sports Complex. And I think the Chiefs thought they could drag this thing across the finish line because of who they were. But them, and by the way, their political consultants who did a terrible job, didn't read the moment. And we could have told them that it was coming. We could have told them that they were misreading the moment where people were at. Property taxes skyrocketing, fiasco in Jackson County from 23. 3.5 years of disastrous inflation where people feel like enough's enough. A populist sentiment entering the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans. Not a great time to be a billionaire asking for 3/8 of a cent sales tax from a guy making $35-40 grand a year who's trying to pay his bills. All of those things converged on April 2nd. But to look at it that black and white, as this guy Corb Maxwell did in Topeka yesterday, it's just, it's just trying to cater to those individuals in Topeka who are going to get played like a fiddle. And that appears to be most of the legislature. Let's go to Kansas City. Jonathan is there. Jonathan, good morning. What's happening? What's going on, my friend?
How's it going, Pete?
All right, man.
So, you see this throughout our politics now where people get so apocalyptic. They're like, well, if you don't do this, then it's the end of this. And, it's going to be a disaster. And, you see this with the Royals stadium lumped in with the Chiefs. Well, if you don't vote it the first time it's presented on the ballot, it's going to be a disaster, and both teams are going to be leaving the state left and right. And the problem is we have heard this rhetoric so many times now over the last 10, really since Obama. We've heard this rhetoric time and time again at the local and national level. If you don't go along with this, then you're racist. Or if you don't go along with this, then it's the end of the system. And, it's very Machiavellian gaslighting. The problem with it is, number one, these threats don't always come to pass. Trump got elected. Things didn't end. We had a vote in Jackson County. We could still have another vote in November. So I think a lot of the times they're bluffing with these threats. And even if these threats do come to pass, which some of them do, maybe one of the teams moves, I say, okay, well, I think it's still a soft bluff because I think the pushback for the region is overstated because, okay, they move a couple miles. I think in the regional economy, it's not going to make a big difference. It's much ado about nothing. But, I think it's part of the gaslighting. They have to threaten people, and they feel like, well, that's going to motivate people. Well, it didn't motivate people in April, and I just feel like they try this in politics time and time again, and it just doesn't work.
Thank you, Jonathan. There's no doubt that that's part of the play here. There's a fear tactic at play. There has to be. Now, they tried it in April. It didn't work. Remember the ads in April? Keep the teams in Jackson County as if they were magically going to disappear on April 3rd. It didn't work. So now you got to step it up. You got to step up the fear tactic. And I say this as someone who has immense amount of respect for the Hunt family, what they've done for the region, what they've done for the city, what they've done with the franchise. And same thing for John Sherman. I like John Sherman. I met him. He's been on the show. He's a good man. I think he really wants to have this team and this franchise succeed here in Kansas City. But in the end, there's a business play. And while I think they're getting some bad advice from the people around him, we'll see how it plays out in the days ahead.